We have Rector with Remnant Host, Molten Encasements, and a Mine Collapse. If we get a Harvest Rector, I wouldn't complain. We do have Plinks, though. There's no sweep unit, is there? This is Rector, yeah. Was it Talos? Really? But I won a game. I got Remnant Host though. Yeah, so that's the idea. Like I don't know. I think we set up on middle floor with tombs, and we just put something on the top floor to kill off staff. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's not that there's anything wrong with tombs, but nothing hits them if you're on top. If you take Light's Gift, just means you can't set up top, which means you need to draw them a turn earlier. Get him, Flink. Get him. Try again. Idiot. I think molding's what we're doing. I think that's the wrong plan. Oh, Warmaster Hakan. Dude, if only you were eating your lunch 15 minutes ago. I feel really bad now. Did you know that, what's that rage card? Can generate 80 rage for 1 energy? $80 damage? 80 damage for 1 energy, yeah. I wouldn't call it the run of runs. It was something, though. I had some mini deranged brutes. When I say some, there was 3. We had triplets. Yeah, they were good boys. What do we want from here? Shadow Siege. Yeah, we had Kratos and Boy, and the twin disappointments, Towel and Water. Huh. I think Kratos was doing 700 damage a turn, and Boy was doing 800 something on Seraph. And when I say a turn, there was like, I think there was a turn they fought against Seraph at the end. But so if we didn't have the endless remnant host, you reckon Morsel Maker gets play? No, it was like 1500 or closer to 1600. And he's not getting play now, but there's a possibility there. Morsel Maker is an endless remnant host. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Barbed Disciples. Is this the one with the 1 health dudes? No, it's Discipled Conduit. This one, oh, these are the hasters. So we have to set up bottom. Oh, good, they're not hasters. Thanks, Lies. Why is my sheet? No, my sheet says spikes. Okay, I'm okay. Never. Didn't have it. You use Dolphin's Sheep, but he doesn't have Talus or Archers. Okay, so Sin of Failure uses the same enemies as Rage Fell with the Sweeper. What are the other ones? I think Sin of Shadow is the Scourge. So that's probably one of the biggest reasons why the Talos and the Seraph the Patient... Well, Seraph the Patient gets his own set of guys. But Talos uses the same as Daedalus in terms of the minions that spawn, and so does Archers. Whereas Talos hits directly. And yeah, Daedalus plants a bomb, but you can destroy the bomb. Plus Talos is a jerk and dazes or knocks back your units. So that's probably the biggest one to think of, is that the Sin of Failure has the Sweeper. I'm pretty sure it's Sin of Shadow. Oh, hang on, I can look. I've written it down on my sheet. Yeah, Sin of Shadow has the Purifiers that come in and put the Scourge card in your deck. Sin of Darkness has the Sycophants of Seraph. Yeah. As I was saying, like, when the new bosses came out, I was like, oh, new bosses, these are good. Except for Talos. I sort of realized straight away Talos was bad. But I was kind of okay with Arcus and Seraph the Patient. But the more I play against them, the more I realize how unbalanced they are for the rest of the game. Don't necessarily like it. Yeah, the bottom deck endless unit. Something like this too. Plink randomly hits that back unit, and instead of dealing half the damage to this boss, we kill him. Good job, Plink. Am I saying Plink was the MVP? I mean, you can quote me on that. Do we want an artifact, or do we want to dupe a space prism? Go on a dupe a space prism. Enhance my unit. Wait, did I say that out loud? I think the other reason why Talos and Seraph seem more unfair than the others is they get multiple extra things they're doing. Like Daedalus just has his bombs. Yeah. He puts a bomb down and the bomb is something. Either the bomb has a shield, or the bomb goes off twice, or he gives the units one revenge on death. Or not one revenge, one damage on extinguish. Right? She's just given the units 5 shield. And she's going to knock back minions. What's the other one? I think one of them she gets armor and dies or something. Hey Zanza, how you doing, man? Yeah, it's been a good month. So this is another thing too that I suppose going forward I'm going to have to pay more attention to. So make sure I do restart the run instead of actually wasting my time getting here. 5 armor on units, and we have plinks. Even if you have torches, you know, or what do you do? What do you do? We can't go top. At least with dregs? Yeah, dregs, right? So I'll play Rector, and then I'll play my other unit that I play with Rector. And then we'll put it... Oh, wait. Not that has been determined yet, Arrow. Every time someone comes up with how they believe it's solved, then we track it and we find something that goes against whatever logic that person thinks they came up with. The only thing that we ask that like is certain is that, and then again, I've seen the occasional break from this, so I don't know if it's a small percentage chance or if we're just reading something wrong in it, where like if you're playing a one lane setup, so you don't have anything else on other lanes, Sap Seraph and Cleanse Seraph will return to that lane every second time. But if you've got units on 2 lanes, sometimes those Seraphs will go to the empty lane and will redo the cleanse on the lane before they left or something. It's whatever's worse for me without explicit enemy. Yeah, I can agree with that. They say how to create challenges you currently cannot create with Monster Train itself. I don't understand. Like you start with 20 stewards only? Yeah. By rewriting the save file. That's how the majority of players get the top scores in the daily. I think someone wrote a script out there with a third party, looks like a Windows Forms thing where you can use drop downs to select what relics and units and stuff you want to do, and it automatically puts it in the file for you. Didn't want a furnace app? Correct. There is an easy way you can tell that I didn't want one though, Lies. Taking energy for Scourgefell. create a web-based tool? I mean, you could. It'd just have to generate the file, and you'd have to manually put in. But I'm pretty sure someone's got one that is just a forms tool, and it automatically updates the file. Like, you've just got to give it the location of the file, and I think by default it has the Steam location. Why would I pass it up? Because it costs energy to play, and I could just get a multi-strike for it from the store here. And then I don't have to wait for it to roll around. Okay. Okay. I just furnace tapped him with no downside. You watched someone play last night and hit 9 magic shops in 2 runs with 0 holdover. Yeah. I mean, random's random, right? Pity Brad streak of luck. Not if you don't want holdovers. Then it's a good streak, right? Isn't holdover not a very often... isn't holdover... That sentence has too many negatives for me to make it out, so I'm just going to interpret. Holdover's just fine. It's up against double stack, which has been significantly reduced in playability. Preserve, I think not preserve, permafrost, which is equally as fine as holdover, I guess. And unconsume, which I think is actually less, right? I think holdover and I think holdover is actually the one I'd probably take the most these days. I think mainly because like permafreeze is good, but all it takes is will exiled Stygian, and you just don't pick it anymore. Alright, well, Master Khan, hope you have a great afternoon, dude. Double stack still works with Wildwood Sap. I think that's why double stack gets perceived as being the most wanted one, is because it's still playable with Wildwood Sap. And Wildwood Sap is one of the strongest ways to get units to beat bosses. Probably not the strongest, simplest ways to have units beat bosses. You know, people recognize that if you just put on 30-40 regen, unit's probably beating the boss. And holdover does the same sort of thing with cards like Stealth or Grovel, and in the in some really weird place, the full heal card. Usually have one or two holdover cards. It's good for consistency, but bad for cycling through your deck. But if your deck rotates it, and it does happen that your deck completely revolves around one or two cards, you don't care about cycling through your deck once you get those. Soon holdover will be +1 Ember like double stack. I don't know. There was a lot of hate from that. And there's still a lot of backlash, but it's really hard to judge how much impact that had, because they also added the new heroes and the new bosses. Whereas if they just put that in, I think it would have felt a lot worse. Well, it doesn't. I don't think it was ever designed to ruin runs. What it does is it makes it not pickable on some cards. It's very hard to justify a 2-cost spreading spores that's double stacked compared to a 0-cost spreading spores that isn't double stacked. Whereas prior to that, it was a 0-cost spreading spores or a 1-cost double stack spreading spores. So there's a huge difference between the two. What was the other one? The double stack. It's the Umbra card. It costs 1 and gives. I think it's the one that gives damage shield and something else. So I used to double stack and -1 that, and it was a 0 cost. You play it every turn. You get a bunch of them, or you try to dupe them and play them. Or if you manage to get the Lightstone casing, you'd put holdover on it as well. It's a fun strategy. You can't do that anymore. Doesn't it cost too much gold? I think it's fine. I think the premium cost for cards, for upgrades, is probably one of the few things that is balanced in the game. I'm gonna kill that healer next time. Maybe. Is there a clan combo I like to play the most? It's really hard to pick now because there's so many. I can't remember what it was when there was only the 5, but I do know there was a couple that I definitely preferred over the others. And in vanilla it was X-Umbra because you could harvest your morsels, and Accumulator was super strong, and it was even better back then because everyone hated Accumulator Rector, and I loved it. Like I thought it was really good, and I was able to showcase why I thought he was really good. Although now everyone knows he's good because his numbers got bigger, so that's what it took to make people realize he's good, apparently. But yeah, there's just too many now to... I didn't play on the beta, so I never played with, what was it, Action? Frostguard? That's far too strong, though. I can't believe they didn't know that was too strong. You don't think they tried picking it? If it was Action, why wouldn't you? Or just because you know it's going to win? So you're like, no need to try this one. But I thought you said it wasn't revenge in beta, was it? There were two action lines. Oh, I see. And then after, when it was revenge in beta, they didn't take it. Except way stronger than Tethys, right? Like that is a massively, like, cause was it AoE Frost or was it just frontline Frost when it was action? It was Sweep Frost. It's still broken. I think people just try to play it right. I don't pick it a lot because it's very hard to play in certain matchups and certain cards, if not possibly unplayable in some of them. But when you get one where you can play it, it is phenomenally broken. I would say in those moments, is the strongest champ in the game. And it's not even close. And except for when I farmed the wins with him for the challenges, I've only been able to play him successfully twice, and both of those times it was just stupid. Both times it was in everything. Both times it was pretty much a solo run, and the first one was by accident. I had all these other sharks in there that were unnecessary. Like, I think the second time we had a lot of sharks too. But they were just there as fodder to be in front of him so that he didn't get hit. But yeah, when you get to the boss though, it's definitely nuke. He just destroys bosses. Yeah, Frostbite, Soulguard, and Hellhorn is stupid strong. That's way stronger than Wrathful Prince though. Like, absolute ridiculous levels of stronger than Wrathful Prince. And then with Awoken, especially if you get regular Awoken, but just with Wild Saps, then you can just stand out front. Oh, I should have put that down here. Maybe not. I don't know. Do you want to be stealth? It doesn't matter. Oh, he's plinkable. Panz. Dude's definitely plinkable. Hey Chroma, how you doing, man? Plinker may be able. I haven't played it, Valkyrie. Yeah, permanent effects on cards is really cool because it gives you something to think about on turns like this. It's the last turn there's a red X. But when you've got permanent champions, it's like, oh, should I be doing something right now? Is there some other way, you know, or even more on the way up, do I want to do something else and not get a kill early because I want to use Paraffin Thug to get a 20 gold or something? You know, Bounty Stalker, get an extra death in for Bounty Stalker, or Gorge an extra thing for Overgeorge. You know, I really like mechanics like that in games too. Will it matter? This is a big maybe. Take mine, Jackson, not care. Hey, Naughty Pine, how you doing? Are we spelling anything? Not really. Feeling particularly salty about the no video rule today. I mean, are you in a position where you can influence whether you think it's worth having or not? Or is it something that you just have to be like, well, I guess that's it? Rude. Yes. So what happened, Mero, is that if enough people in a company are not performing right, then it's safer for a company to outright put in place something that prevents everyone from doing it rather than targeting those. Because especially in the United States of litigation, said employee who is underperforming, even with documentation of his low KPI or margins or anything to prove that the company has relevant reason to remove their capability of doing something that is hindering their performance, is likely to be actioned against and lose, because Lazy Pants found a lawyer that would work with no upfront charges until they were able to squeeze blood out of company. No, even if you didn't terminate the someone, if you just like pulled them across and said you're not performing, and we think it's because of this, so we're going to say you can't do that. They get up and be like, but the person sitting next to me gets to do that, and you'll be like, yeah, but they're performing. But yes, your wolf merits should be enough. But like I said, it doesn't work like that in some countries. And I don't know about how it works in the US, but in other countries, like here in and New Zealand, and probably many in Europe. If you're terminated for underperforming, you don't get a severance. The issue is proving underperformance. If you have a public, like, it does depend on the business, right? But if you're working for a business where there's a KPI in place that is clearly measurable and all you have to do is meet those requirements and you don't, and it's measurable, and your employer comes to you and says, this is your expected target, you are not hitting it, and then they go through the routine of, like, there's measures in place too in both, especially in Australia and New Zealand as well, to make sure you don't just pick on someone and go, you're not making your targets, you're out. You can't do that. You have to like give them the warning that you're not performing, and then offer training and other things. But you're definitely over here. You're allowed to isolate someone who is underperforming and say, you're not performing. We're going to need to restrict some of the things you do during the workplace to try and help you perform better. They do, Drew. I think the problem is, like, some employees, like, especially, like, that's what happened at Naughty Pine's company, is that they were allowed to watch video up until today while at work, as long as they did their work, met their work requirements. But the company put in a rule saying, look at Rector, he's so huge, saying that's no longer the case. You can no longer watch video at your work, even if you are meeting your requirements, because it's easier for them to do that as a blanket statement for all the employees than to isolate individuals who are underperforming. Even termination with cause for underperformance will get challenged in court. Possibly. Maybe in America. I don't know. I don't live there. But that doesn't happen here because our courts don't have the precedents they have to follow from dumb lawsuits. If you're underperforming and they come to you with performance review and say, here's your performance review, and they talk you through it, and you're not performing, and there's measurable targets you're not making, and you go through some retraining and you still don't make it, and at the next performance review they say, look, we're still trying to help you through this, you're not performing, you can take them to court, you'll get thrown out, and you would have wasted money. The best thing you can do is evaluate your own self and be like, okay, I need to perform better. Now, whether it's a learning thing or you were in a job you couldn't do or whatever reasons, the onus over here is more so on the individual. However, if an employer doesn't follow those steps to make sure that they've clearly told you what's going wrong and what the steps are going to be to help you do your job better, then an unfair dismissal case can be made. But it's a lot harder on the terms of the employee. You've got to have the employee needs to provide all the documents of what wasn't given to them, and those laws are there to stop disgruntled bad workers from wasting court's time with improper unfair dismissal cases, because the courts have a much more important job in the country to then trying to work out what lazy prick got fired for being a lazy prick, versus like that just doesn't need to take up the court's time. Why severance is paid out? Yeah, I mean, if you're in a country that the litigation is rife with idiots suing and winning, then it's probably beneficial for a company just to pay a severance. get rid of a bad worker and pay severance and avoid a losing court case that you have no right to actually lose. But if you're in a country that stands up and against morons and lawyers that just think they can be the reason why people hate lawyers, then it doesn't stand up. Where is that? It's over here. Oh, you're talking to Arrow? I don't know. Where are you, Arrow? I don't know if it's law here for the 3 to 6 month probation, but you'd be struggling to get a job without it. Severance over... Well, I'm in Australia, but severance over here is for when you're being made redundant. If you've been terminated and given notice, like the requirement over here is you must be given 4 weeks notice, right? And the employer can choose to have you not come to work, but they must pay you that 4 weeks then. And that's not a severance. That's in lieu of having a disgruntled employee show up. Because let's face it, if you're firing someone and you give them their 4 weeks notice, do you really want them showing up to work? And if you're going to have to pay them for 4 weeks while they're working, and they're probably not going to work anyway, you just don't want them showing up, right? But that's not a severance. But severance over here is for when someone gets laid off. Like companies downsizing or their job's no longer required. You learned a lot of employees around having contracts with rules laid out. Show up and get paid, or don't show up and don't get paid. Yeah, so different people with different lengths of tenure might have additional ones in their job. Don't really need anything here. I'd rather just remove that. Let's go. Sap Seraph, these things do so little damage. I want to put any on top because I want Rector to go up there after he's endless, just in case we need the... why did he go up there? Oh, because he's doing 0 damage. Idiot. Oh, that sucks. I'm like, oh, this is great. He'll be able to kill the Lightwings. Six and a half out of 10 needs more harvest. Yeah, that's fair, I guess. Sludge isn't even doing 1,000 damage a turn. Oh wait, he is. Where's our double harvest relic? I know, right? I was wondering what was happening. This gun was getting armor and wasn't dying to the Shadewing. Seraph couldn't even kill the tome. Plink. Yeah, the deck was fine once you took all the plinks out of it. So there's something to taking energy just so you can remove plinks and play Stewards. Versus draw, where you remove Stewards and draw past the plinks every time. I guess it depends on... Oh, does it depend on deck size? Then you also have an extra energy every turn to do stuff with. Maybe.